Okay. So hi everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today's session. I think we'll just wait for a few minutes for other people to join. But in the meantime, let's just chat a bit about the topic that we're going to discuss today. I think it's very near and dear to most parents of this generation who have kids, who are under 10 right now, or maybe even teenagers. Um, is screen time and social media addiction. Social media obviously comes in a little later, hopefully, but screen time starts at a very, very early age now. And like 10 years back, when YouTube and Facebook and some of these platforms came about, uh, it was all so new, right? Because we were now moving into a world where TV was not the primary, mode of consumption, and the single device didn't exist anymore. So now, going from a big joint family who just had one TV in the living room, and every kid in the house had to watch the K serial, which the mothers and the grandmothers wanted to watch. Now we, slowly over the last 10 years moved into individual devices. And what happened is that, not just kids, obviously, but as adults, we started depending a lot on screens. We started in, and I am also a part of the problem because I've worked in digital media for the last decade. So I kind of know how content is created. I know how addictive content can be. I know what are the hooks people use to create content that people, that the audience wants to consume. So somewhere in the last decade, we've gone from a single screen and a single device in the home to now multiple devices, whether it's multiple televisions, multiple mobile phones, multiple iPads, individual iPads for each person in the house. um, so, and while there are a lot of positives there, while information is now for all, everyone has access to everything. Also, we as parents will now be dealing with the side effects of that. So, what is the flip side of this information that is available? What is the flip side of all of this millions of hours of content that is available online? Once we see it and once our kids see it, what happens then on? So I have Dr. Shrunal Kamdar here. She is a pediatrician. She is associated with some of the best hospitals in Bombay, and also I believe has a keen interest in educating young parents of young children about the effects and side effects of screen time and social media. So, welcome, Dr. Shunal, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for taking time out for us. We run this very close community for Little Joy's customers, where we want, every now and then we try to do an expert session with someone who's very passionate about parenting, right? So, whether it's doctors
Right.
like you or it's a nutritionist, we want to create a positive impact for parents and make parenting a little easier.
Correct.
And that's the entire, there is no other motivation for us to do this. That's it. So I am very, very happy that you've joined us today, and I'd love for you to give a little introduction about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you. As she mentioned, my name is Dr. Shrunal Kamdar. I am a consulting pediatrician. Initially, I was associated with Hinduja, but now I have my own clinic at Santa Cruz West. My keen interest has always been child development, and here I'm talking about overall child development, where let's say we can avoid counselors or any other doctors to play in, and where a parent can do the needful, and I think they're sufficient enough to do it. And as you mentioned, making parenting easy is where we will play some role with you guys. But very frankly, I know it's a difficult task. So
I think
as I always
parenting
say,
itself is difficult, right? Like there is
it
no
is, but
manual, there is no guidebook available saying कि ये
no,
करो और सब तुम्हारा बच्चा ठीक हो जाएगा. Like,
nahi
it's
hoga.
everything is difficult when it comes to parenting. So,
It is,
um,
yes.
yeah, thank you for your time today. So let's dive in. I think
Sure.
let's talk about, early childhood, right? So I'm talking
Yes.
about what it does for a young child's brain. And I know you see a lot of young parents in your practice. What it does to a child's brain who is just a few months old, when they watch a video for the first time, say a 6 month old or a 8 month old baby who is fussing, who's not eating, who is throwing a tantrum, who's teething, who's not sleeping in the night, who keeps waking up,
Got it.
and frustrated parents and relatives in the house don't know कि इसको शांत कैसे कराए. How
Correct.
will he stop
Yes.
crying? And you give them that one video, and then that child suddenly stops crying, and you're like, wow, this is like magic. I this is now I'm so happy I have figured this out. So
Yes.
what is it that first video exposure does to a young child's brain? Can you
Correct.
tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So before we dive into this, I just like to make sure that all of us are on the same page.
Yeah.
So just to say, what is screen?
Yeah.
Screen is simple words, anything that emits LED lights. Now it can be a cinema hall screen to as much as small as a mobile phone, or even smaller than that if something is going to come out. So that is screen. Now what is screen time is the time spent by the child on watching something in that screen, or they are in touch with that screen doing something. Then the next question is, what is social media?
Yeah.
Social media is anything which associates you to the world in general, the population available all over the world.
Yeah.
And the medium that you use is screen in that. So that is why as of now we are associating social media with screens, but need not be that way. But for now we're going to take it that way.
Yeah.
So that is social media. And the social media can include WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever is available.
Yeah. Dr. Shrunal, just one second. Your camera keeps moving. If you can just push back your laptop a bit. When you are moving, your camera is moving. So
is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah. Then the next thing is, so allowed time, the time which is allowed by a child on social media or on the screens in particular. So if we talk on that, then the first thing is that till 2 years of age, no child needs any form of screen time at all. Zero.
Okay.
And it need not be negligent. It need not be 10 minutes. It need not be 5 minutes. It need not be even half a second. Yeah. No screen time means no screen time.
Okay.
That is the first thing. So that is what we are going to target as of now in this first part of the session. Now the next question is, what happens with increased screen time? So as you rightly just right now said that let's say a 6th or 8th month old child was given a screen time for 10 minutes just to calm him down.
Yeah.
We must understand that a 6 or 8 or 9 month old child is still coming of his own into the world, because 6 months back he was just born. He identified mera surrounding ye hai, these are my parents, this is my house. When I cry, I get food. When I cry, they change my diapers. When I cry, they make me sleep. After about these 6 months or so, they start exploring the environment. And in that environment, the first thing that comes is the house. So they are trying to grasp anything and everything that's coming their way. And in that, when a mother says, hi, baby, how are you? He knows that I am being asked by my mother, how am I doing? Now, when the screen time is given, it's very entertaining. The children are extremely happy watching it, which I agree to. But the child per se has to do nothing in this, because the screen is doing all the work that is needed for the child.
Okay.
So when you as a mother will ask, he naturally knows that I have to think. मेरे को पूछा जा रहा है तो मुझे सोचना है और मुझे अभी बताना नहीं है, but I'm going to make an effort to let her know that I'm doing fine.
So there is
But
that stimulus basically, right? You're basically,
absolutely.
yeah. So
Yes.
I'm asking a question, my child has to respond, but with a
Yes.
screen, it's a one-way communication. The child doesn't
Correct.
have to do anything. So
Absolutely.
that's where the issue starts, right? Where you're not giving enough
Exactly.
stimulus to the child.
Yes. And you are hampering his all-round development.
Yeah.
Because what we want is that the child should speak, let's say after 18 months ke baad, after
Yeah.
1.5 years
Yeah.
of age,
Yeah.
that my child should start talking at least baba, mama, whatever, some
Yeah. Yeah.
monosyllable, bisyllables and everything.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact that he was never stimulated to that because of the screen time.
Yeah.
And the problem is that we never know what is the 10-minute break of the screen time.
Yeah.
We never stop at 10 minutes. To the best of my experience in my world, I know for a fact that it never stops at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because if your child is calm, as a mother, by nature, you want to make sure, okay, let him take more 5 minutes, please, and I can just get
Yeah.
over with this.
Because a mother actually
Yes,
has 100 things to do, right? Like there
exactly.
is I as a working mom, and I feel like honestly there is no difference between a working mother and a mother who's a stay-at-home mother, because all mothers are working. There is no
Precisely.
non-working mother. So when that
Exactly.
mother who has 100 things to do, whether she's in office or she's at home or she's cooking or cleaning or taking care or running the house in general, she needs 10 minutes to have her breakfast. She needs
Correct.
10 minutes to have her lunch. So what
Absolutely.
do we do in that time where we say that if don't give a screen to your child, but what is the alternative that you recommend to parents?
See, my point is that if you are staying in a nuclear family or if you're staying in a joint family, you know that you will have at least one help to yourself other than you being yourself.
Hmm.
Like a mother, a baby, your
A
husband
grandmother.
probably, or
Hmm.
a grandmother, or a
Yeah.
nanny, or somebody around you will always be there. Because we stay in India and we don't have the dearth of helps as of now. So if you can arrange for a help somewhere, make sure that your eating time or your bathing time or your working time in the house or otherwise working hours are coinciding with the help available.
Hmm.
And try and interact that baby with that help or that
Hmm.
granny mother or anybody around, and try and encourage as many activities as you can do in that 10-15 minutes with that child
Yeah.
by somebody else while you're taking your lunch or your dinner or you're managing the bathing or you're doing anything else that needs your attention.
Yeah.
See, the point is that your child today requires just about 2 to 3 years of your time,
Okay.
after which you are not going to have enough time to tell him कि आज screen mat dekho, it is not good for you. And by the time we realize the side effects, the time has passed, because the brain will grow only in the initial 2 years. It will
Hmm.
never say, I'm going to wait till the time you're ready. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you have to, like, I feel bad myself when I say this, but if you can, you have to sacrifice that 5 to 10 minutes of your time into that child, because what we do today is what's going to take him the whole life. So
Absolutely.
any it's just about 2 years, actually, very very clearly, that no screen time even in the form of video chatting, no screen time even in the form of an interactive session, also no screen time, because the child is absorbing anything and everything that's coming that way, and this is not a good time to introduce it. Like, only after 2.5 to 3 years is when we can say, okay, now I'm ready to introduce the child to my like to a screen or to
Yeah.
an activity on the screen, so which we will discuss eventually. And of late, autism is on the rise for the
I
only
wanted to
reason.
address that actually now. So,
Yeah,
let's now get into the second part, which is in your clinical practice. See, there are short-term side effects and there are long-term side effects. Short-term side effects, I think you can tell us. I think some of them that I have seen with, because I have a lot of friends who are also young
yeah,
mothers, is, dry, watery eyes, a bad posture, um, just lack of appetite. because they have made that association with screen and food now. So when
Yes,
there is no screen involved, food will not
there
go
is no
into the
food.
stomach, you know.
Yes,
um and then some of the longer ones are like lack of focus. I will not study if I don't get screen. It's always a bargain, you know. And then
yes,
obviously some
yes.
of the more serious conditions, which I'll let you, you know. So can we now discuss what are the short term and long term side effects of screen exposure?
Right. So the short terms are what you very rightly said. But when I say and when I put it, I want to make it very clear that most of them are long term side effects.
Okay.
There's nothing which really reverses once you stop the screen time, except for the immediate ones, maybe like a posture or the dry eyes or something like that. But above all of these, I think they're going to be more long terms. And in the long terms, it's easier to put it physical and mental side effects.
Yes.
So when you say it's physical, then there are going to be specs, as in the
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
sightedness or short
Yeah.
sightedness, at a very young age. So they are going to start their life with glasses at about 2 years to 3 years of age, and it's going to go lifelong.
Okay.
So that is one thing. The other thing is juvenile diabetes is on a rise as of today. And I'm seeing it in literally every second to third child. We are already in the diabetic capital
Yeah.
in adults,
Yeah.
and we don't want to go into the pediatric capital, but we are seeing it as of today. And it's extremely serious that we work on it somewhere. So that is the other part of it. So the long sightedness, short sightedness, juvenile diabetes. Then the next part which comes is the bone development is not happening at all. So early age osteoporosis, or you can say arthritis in normal term,
Oh wow,
early
that is
age.
shocking. I have never heard of that. That is
Yes, so
shocking.
it's, yeah. So if it's the medical term, let's say okay, it is a form of rickets where the
Mm.
bones are crumbling. So even the slight injury, it's a very slight injury for a person like you and me, but for them it's a fracture. By the time you realize कि इनको
Mm.
bone में कुछ लगा है, वो fracture की तरफ गया है. It's already there.
Mm.
So, and of course obesity, and then associated problems of obesity, which has फिर तो उसका कोई end ही नहीं है. So
Mm.
obesity in itself takes you to a long journey of problems.
Yeah.
So basically these are all the physical problems which according to me are sort of manageable, because I know कि once I stop the screen and I introduce the child to the outside world, आज नहीं तो कल वो settle हो जाएगा. But what about the mental illness which is at stake because
Yeah.
of the social media?
Yeah.
And usme the most important is lack of focus, lack of discipline, lack of concentration, and sleep problems. And
Oh.
all of these will lead the child into early age anxieties and depressions. And they are not ready to face the world when they are of the actual age when they should have. So let's say okay, when the child becomes 18, 19 years of age and you want to send them to America to study, or you
Mm.
want to ask them to leave their homes and go to a hostel to study, you as a parent should be convinced that my child may fall into a bad company, but I'm sure that they will do well.
Mm.
So when you have to do this is for which you have to start working today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is just like 2 to 3 years of age. After which आपको इतना time देना भी नहीं है. Because after which they
Yeah,
know कि
because I
उनको क्या
think like
करना है.
they also get into their routine, their full-time
Yes,
school starts,
correct.
you know, and okay, so we've addressed, you know, so can we now deep dive a bit into the link between screen time and early onset of autism or being on the autism spectrum? I wouldn't say
Right.
you know, the
Yes.
severe autism, but being on the autism spectrum, also I know that there is a link between childhood ADHD and screen time. So can we just delve a bit
Yeah.
into these two?
So what is autism is, in simple terms, when the child is not socially ready to interact with a social circle.
Hmm.
So that can be one person, that can be two-person, that can be a crowd of 100 people. But the child is not ready. So, for example, when you take your 2-year-old child to a restaurant,
Hmm.
or when you take the child to a doctor, or when you take the child to a market, So you know that there are strangers over there. Let's say the market vendor or the doctor will say,
Yeah.
"Hi, baby, how are you doing?" Or for example, if the child's name is Earth, so we'll say, "Hi, Earth, how are you doing? How is your school going on?" Or whatever. What are you holding in your hand? In any of those scenarios, you know for a fact that your child is making that needed eye contact or social contact with that market vendor or the doctor or anybody else. But when it comes to these babies, you have to remember that autism may, the child will not make that eye contact. First thing. Second thing is they are averse to even those people touching them. And that can even include your parents. They do not like the touch of their parents in a proper autistic child. And if you're going towards autism, maybe or may not be, you may have all of these diseases, or probably it's an onset of the disease, as in the spectrum disorder, or we are still not there, but we can be there sort of a situation. And all of this is because of the screen time, as I said, because it's a one-way communication. The child was never ever stimulated to talk, to interact, to be in that circle, which was needed, because he understood that I can be on my own. I am very happy being on my own
I
with
have
that
my
screen.
screen and the screen talks to
Yes.
me, and I don't
Yes.
have to talk back. I don't have to make any
Exactly.
effort to say
Effort.
anything. I don't have to smile. I don't have to laugh. I don't have to cry. I don't have to yell at the
Correct.
screen because the screen
Exactly.
can't hear me. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Understood.
So that is so very, very simple as it may sound, that autism will be there if there is increased screen time in 2-year-olds. Now, when I say increase, consider it anything from 1 minute to 24 hours of the day. Because it is what we have seen, and it is where we all have to work. That initial 2 years of age. That's all about it. After which we can play around.
And what about ADHD?
ADHD, again, the same story. Yahan pe, in autism, what happens is that the social cues are going down, they're reducing. Whereas in ADHD, the social cues are hyperactive. So the child is making an effort to tell you that I want you to include me in the social circle. I want you to do this for me. I want you to talk to me, but in my own way. I don't want you to talk to me the way you are talking to me. I want you to talk to me in my own way. And that is when the child starts grabbing attention at not necessary places. For example, he'll make an effort कि आज घर पे मेहमान आए हैं. You have to be sure that there will be a tantrum or there will be a meltdown episode. Because that is, see, it's like attention deficit hyperactivity syndrome, ADHD. So attention deficit matlab he wants all the attention diverted to himself because he was not being given that attention. See, the point is कि उसको screen दे दिया, he was calm, he was quiet, so he realized कि अरे कोई ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहा मेरे पे, तो अब तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा ना कि जिस पे लोगों का ध्यान attract हो. And then the whole situation arises. Again, the same story, the screen time. So that.
Got it. Okay. So also, Dr. Shrunal, like, I think at a principal level, I think we all kind of now agree that we know at some level, even if we are giving screens to our child, we know that it's not the best thing. But every parent has constraints, and this entire problem got accelerated because of COVID, right?
Exactly.
Because now we had parents who had to be primary teachers, and the mode of communication or teaching had to be the iPad or the laptop or the phone screen. For almost 1.5, 2 years, in most places. I know I have two nieces, one in the 8th standard and one in the 4th standard, and I know what they have been through in COVID, right? Because being very active kids, going to school, going for football classes, now they were stuck at home and, slouching in front of the iPad, trying to do some pay attention but can't focus. So the screen time addiction has been accelerated for most kids because of COVID. So assume that now most kids are watching these screens, right? So what are some of the tips you can give parents to control and to moderate and to get back to a, maybe not a zero screen time, but a healthy space? So what are some of these some of these tips
Yeah.
that you usually give parents?
So generally, what I say that is that if you know, let's say your child is about 5, 6 years of age, and you know that screen is a part of his education curriculum.
Hmm.
So in the school,
Yeah.
let's say he's going to the school and he's going to be exposed to that screen for about 4 to 5 hours in the whole day with that study time or that
Yeah.
interactive session which was available at the school, because now most schools are turning with the screens.
Yeah.
So if you know that 5 to 6 hours of that day has already gone into the screen, okay, so the next part of the job will be कि बाकी का time में पूरा 24 hours में बाकी का time में he should be available or he should be watching the screen for only 1 to 1.5 hours.
Okay.
If we can control any part of that situation, then we are doing good. The only best part is that for that 5 to 6 hours, yes, he was exposed to screen, but he was exposed to only a controlled media of the screen, and he wasn't being exposed to anything which was not necessary for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're very happy with that. So it's
Yeah.
not as if that
That was
screen, yes,
educational. Yeah.
yes, so it's not as if that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
But the only thing, as I said, was just a minute. I think I'm echoing.
No, I think we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing that I'm saying is that बाकी के दिन में that 1 to 1.5 hour. Now, some parents may say कि नहीं उसका homework भी screen पे ही होता है.
हाँ.
Yeah.
हाँ.
So then you have to decide कि अगर उसका homework भी screen पे है तो you have to give. आपके पास option नहीं है. So give him that another 1.5 hour. But then no, कि अब बाकी का time में I cannot give him any form of entertainment on that screen at all. Now he may say I want to watch a cartoon today, or he may say I want to watch a movie today. Then again you have to give a leeway. So then it has to be more like a deal. You watch it for 15 minutes. Is that okay? Because a lot of screen has already gone into watching and your eyes will hurt because of this. So then you explain it to him, talk to him, make him understand that why am I not allowing you the screen time? That is the most important part of it. And of course, the most important again is at least till 10 years of age, the parents have to have a total 100% control of whatever is being watched on the screen by the child. And the next part is that most importantly, agar screen dikhana hi hai, then it has to be a bigger screen. Phone nahi dikhana hai, because the smaller the screen size, the more is the LED which is emitted. And the more it will interact with your brain, and it will cause all the other problems. So I guess you have to show a screen. For example, he has to do some homework. Make sure it's a bigger screen. The only benefit of the bigger screen is that you can monitor whatever he is doing on that screen. A. B is कि हम side effect को कम कर रहे हैं to the best of our capacity. So these are the two things why we insist on the bigger screens. And everybody of late have smart TVs where the phones and the internets and the Wi-Fi's can be easily connected.
Yeah.
So do that. And the most important is कि sleeping के 1 घंटे पहले से you have to stop the screen time. That means कि उसका homework रुक रहा है तो okay, accepted है. But don't allow the screen time at least 1 hour before sleeping, because it should not inhibit the sleeping in any form. Because sleep is necessary and it has to be on the time. दूसरे दिन time पे उठना है. The schedule is working on, so we just can't play around with it. And like till 12:30 he's watching a screen is not a good thing, because tomorrow morning he has to wake up at like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So 12:30 the screen time is not good. That is the other thing. And the most important again is keep one screen out of the bedroom. The screens have entered the bedrooms, but to the best of your capacity, avoid screen times in the bedroom. You may have a TV there or you may have a screen there, but you have to explain it to your child that this is like as a mom or a dad, that this is my workplace. I am working from home and this desk is to be used only for my work purpose, and it will get done. If you have to watch anything, go into the hall, watch it and come back. So you know wo screen time will get limited and you can control everything over it. So
yeah,
these
because
are the
nobody will sleep in the hall. So if you just limit it to the hall, then you're saying that okay, hall mein screen is allowed, but room mein it's not allowed.
It's not
So
allowed.
please
Correct.
don't, no expectations in your bedtime, for
Yes.
example, right?
Correct.
Understood. So, there was one of the things that even I'm guilty of is that when I'm around my son, while I don't give him my phone, uh, I sometimes, because of work or, whatever, I'm checking my emails or I'm just scrolling WhatsApp or social media trying to check something, that he is talking to me and he's saying, Mama, Mama, see this. And I am just busy scrolling on my phone. And then it strikes me that I am doing what I don't want him to do, right?
Correct. Yes.
So kids mirror their parents, right? And I am guilty of being on my phone while physically being in his room and trying to play with him. Okay.
Correct.
And
Yes.
and I know that and I'm aware of it, but there are a lot of us that are not even aware of it. So I
Right.
just have one thing for parents. Like my son is 2.5 years old, and I am completely guilty of being on my screen around my son. My husband
Right.
and I are consciously making an effort that when he comes into our room or we are in the living room, to keep our devices aside so that he
Yes.
knows that kids always want to do what adults are doing. They want to wear our
Naturally.
shoes, they want to wear our clothes. My son will take my
Yes.
laptop and he say, Mama, I'm doing office work, because he sees us doing office work, right? So he
Right.
wants to be us. So if we cannot be role models ourselves, we cannot expect our children to be what we want them to be. If we are always
Absolutely.
on our devices, if we are always consuming content on the TV or the laptop, we are slouching, they are on our bed watching our favorite serial, when the child is around, they are going to want to do the same thing,
Yes.
right?
Completely.
So,
It's a very good point that you just pointed out, that as you very clearly said, Ki, children are empty blackboards. Whatever is being written on them, they're going to accept it the way it is without any filter.
yeah,
So that was one of the reasons, as you very rightly said, that when it is decided that from, let's say, 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock is my time with my son,
yeah,
then you have to make sure that it is definitely your time with your son or your daughter or whoever is around you.
yeah,
That is, as you very rightly said, very important. But if other than this also, you have to understand it for yourself, that when you're stopping your child to be on the screens, how important was it necessary for that 10 minutes that you had to be on that Instagram watching
yeah,
reels?
absolutely. So that is the question. And then I feel really bad, right? I feel so much guilt that I don't
Yeah,
give him my phone, but I'm always on my phone. And, that I'm
correct.
not setting the right example for him. So,
Precisely.
so that is, I think, at a parent level, as you
Yes,
and your husband or your partner need to
decides to
make
do.
a rule that when your child is around, we will not consciously pick up our phones. We will not endlessly scroll Instagram, laugh at reels, we will not show reels to each other. We have a rule where we don't watch TV around our son. So the minute he
Correct,
comes into the living room, we switch off the TV. Even if there's
correct,
an important cricket match, even if there is breaking news, there is no
correct.
screen that is switched on when he's around. Now, because we live in a nuclear family, so I have control, right? It's just me, my husband, and my child. Now, what happens when I have noticed this in a joint family, or when my son visits his grandparents or his nana's house or whatever?
Yeah,
Now, I cannot have control beyond a point over there,
correct.
right? So, when
Yes,
he visits relatives, while we have been very, very clear from day one, even with our in laws and my parents, that when our son visits you, you cannot show him your phone. You cannot do
correct.
video calls with him. You cannot switch on your TV. Not a lot of us have that,
Liberty.
liberty to say that. So,
Yes,
what happens when you live with in-laws, and how do you have those discussions? Because for them, today, even a 60 plus person in India is addicted to WhatsApp. They're constantly sending WhatsApp messages to each other or videos on WhatsApp and good morning messages. For them, they are like, तो क्या हो गया? एक वीडियो दिखा दिया तो बच्चा रो रहा था, क्या हो गया? उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है? खाना तो खा रहा है ना? So
correct.
how do you have these difficult conversations with your extended family to tell them
Correct.
that you are doing more harm than good. He may eat
Correct.
half roti more right now because his mind is diverted somewhere else, but
Yeah.
you don't know the side
Side
effect of
effects.
this association that you're building with screens and food, you
Absolutely.
know.
And you're so correct in that today I have literally just 12-year-old or 13-year-olds coming to me. Okay, we just had dinner. The child himself is of this complaint that I just had dinner. It was a heavy, nice burger with French fries, all that I liked. At, let's say, 9 o'clock, he finished, and 11 o'clock, he was just scrolling down the TV watching his favorite match. Some football match was there. And he said, I felt hungry. Can you believe it, doctor? I felt hungry after eating such heavy food. That's exactly what obesity,
Obesity, yeah.
screen time is doing with, because you have seasoned your brain into saying कि जब screen होगा तब खाना खाना है, तो भूख लगेगी ना लगे तुमको खाना खाना है. You need
Mm.
something to munch on.
Yeah,
That's how you, all of us have been seasoned.
yeah,
And as you very rightly said, that it's very difficult to do it in joint families, which I agree
yeah,
to. And
absolutely.
there are usually a lot of bars, but on the hindsight, I have seen that children do much better in spite of all this in the joint families. How I'll tell you what happens is कि the mother knows कि अब तो उसको screen जाने वाला है, तो she is making that effort on her side कि from my side there will be no screen.
Mm.
She knows कि that granny or that somebody has एक बार तो screen दे ही दिया है.
Mm.
So that mother is definitely making sure that मेरे side से तो नहीं जा रहा है.
Mm.
Plus, eventually, the parents have come around talking it to their own parents, ke limit the screen time to a TV probably, but not the
Yeah,
phone.
yeah,
At least this is something that most of the elderlies manage.
yeah.
So of late, the only thing that I've understood is, which is easier, is that you have to tell them that be it a TV, एक normal TV में cartoon लगा दो, but it doesn't have to be your phone. That is the most important. That is
Mm.
the next part of it. And the other part of it is that children have started interacting very well with their grandparents.
Mm.
Because when you stay in a joint family, the grandparent knows that he needs the child for his survival. The
Mm.
child knows that I need my grandparent for my survival. And this survival symbiotic relationship has been formed between them,
Mm.
wherein there is a lot of give and take of knowledge and other talks which are happening in spite of that screen time. So
Mm.
even when that screen time is happening, on the hindsight, there is some talking happening. There is some comment which is
There's
being
activity
passed.
happening in the house.
Yes, yes,
Unlike a nuclear family where father is
yes.
working, mother is working, and
Ha,
child is alone in the room. Now
yes,
there are five people in the house and they're talking to each other. The child is listening to those conversations.
yes.
घर पे खाना बन रहा है, मम्मी कुछ
Correct.
बना रही है, दादी कुछ खिला रही है. So more
Yes,
stimuli, more interactions
yes.
leads to, I guess, healthier brain development.
Precisely, because as you just very rightly said that, and the other thing is that in a joint family, a mother will never have time कि आज मैं अपना बच्चा लेके बैठूं. She will never do
Never
it
have
only
time.
because
Yeah, absolutely.
she will never have time. But in that case, the child becomes less clingy also,
Hmm.
because then he gets attached to everybody else in the house, maybe his aunt,
Yeah.
maybe his other part of the cousins who stay with him. And there is a lot of like-minded minds being growing up together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a lot of interaction even when the screen time is going on. Like even when you
Hmm.
show it to the other person, ये हो रहा है, वो एक स्क्रीन पे भी 10 लोग और बात करेंगे कि तूने क्या देखा, कैसे
Hmm.
देखा, what are you making of this, what are you making of this. So imparting of the knowledge and
Hmm.
other talks. And it's not as if that four kids are sitting and just watching the screen.
Hmm.
Simultaneously they are playing, simultaneously something is being broken, simultaneously somebody is being hit or somebody is crying.
Crying.
A
Hmm.
lot of cues are happening around for them to absorb. So they
Hmm.
come of their own and they become independent a little bit more faster compared to
Hmm.
the nuclear families. Because
Hmm.
nuclear family, as you said, एक बार screen दे दिया, then he has no other entertainment.
Hmm.
Then he just knows कि मेरे को यही देखना है. And वो जो concentration से वो चीज देखता है ना, that is bothersome to us.
Hmm.
That is why we are
Understood.
saying stop the screen. So that is the
So
only reason.
one of the tips that I use, because my son is a very, very fussy eater, and I always knew that I don't want to show him the phone while eating. He would just get off the chair, or he'll just flip the plate. Nahi khana hai mujhe, I don't want to eat. So
Yeah.
now, because he is always been very obsessed with books, because
Huh.
we never showed him the screen, so books were the only form of
Other form of
entertainment for
entertainment.
him, right? His world
Yes.
is his
Yes.
books.
Right.
So now at lunch and dinner, I've just told him that you eat and I will show you a book. If you don't
Correct.
eat, the minute your mouth is not chewing food, the book will be shut and kept away. Now, I
Correct.
know that even that is an association that I have formed, but I
Yes. I
know
was
that it
just.
is a healthier association than giving a screen, because he's not getting a dopamine rush from the book. He is
Correct.
just getting more inquisitive with the book. Whereas
Correct.
a screen, the blue light actually secretes dopamine in your brain, which is the feel good hormone, right? And it you usually get dopamine when you are happy and you do something that you love.
Right.
So the
Right.
blue screen is actually secreting dopamine in your child's brain
Correct.
constantly, which is why
Correct.
when you take away the screen and there is no dopamine now in their brain, they get sad.
Correct.
So if parents can, if you're using screens for feeding your children, get their favorite toy, get their favorite book, get their favorite game on the dining table, and make them eat, you know, and see if that is enough,
Perfect.
at least for early childhood. I don't know if this can help after 3, 4, 5, but if your child
Yeah.
is 2, 3, maybe try that and see if that uh, uh, I agree, Shivani, that distracted eating is bad in any form. Shivani is from our community, but
Yeah.
I don't have an option. वो भूखा सो जाएगा. Like, I have to feed my son something. So instead of giving him the screen, I give him the book. And he also has learned how to eat independently because of that.
That is fantastic.
He feeds himself. I don't have to feed him. I only have to read to him while he's feeding himself. So I agree, Shivani, that it's bad, but I also don't want a malnutrition child. So
No, but you know what, Jaisal, you very rightly said, मेरा बच्चा भूखा सो जाएगा. Believe me, in my career and my seniors' careers of 50 to 60 years, we have made it a point, no distraction of any form while eating, okay?
oh
Like, as you
no,
said.
don't take away
Now,
books.
no, you hear it out from me and then decide.
Okay.
We have not seen a single child coming to us कि इसने 4 दिन से खाया नहीं है और अभी एकदम बेहोश हो गया है
uh,
or he's become unconscious. I have not admitted a single child in that form कि आज 4 दिन से मैंने दिया नहीं, उसने खाया नहीं and वो बेहोश हो गया. There is no child who will go sleeping on an empty stomach. You have to remember that.
yeah.
Because it's like Gujarati માં એક કહેવત છે, if you remember, કે ભૂખ લાગે તો પથરા भी ભાવે.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
When you're
that's
hungry,
exact.
even stones taste good. I know, I know.
Yeah.
So
So that's exactly what we have to do with a child. And the only thing is कि आपने उसको, you've not given him any entertainment or distraction of any form, which I agree to, and it's very difficult. So
yeah,
to begin with, the books are very good, which I agree to, that books are much much thousand times better than screens. So to begin with, आपने उसको ये दे दिया. Eventually, it's time that, like initially, by the time when the books are not available or the other forms are not available, it's very simple. Take them to the window, make them
mm-hmm.
eat over there, show
Mm.
them the nature, because that's easily available,
Mm.
and they just have to keep absorbing that, which
Yeah,
is very important. And
yeah,
the other part is that you have to make sure your child is sitting at one place and eating.
yeah.
You
That's
do
another
not.
issue,
Yes.
that my son
Yeah.
used to just get off and start running around the house, and then
Yeah.
me and my nanny used to chase him to feed him. So eventually I said, this is not going to work because he's only going to get bigger and stronger. So I said, you
Exactly.
sit here, you eat by yourself, and mama will tell you a story. So sometimes I don't
It's
even open a book. I just say some random story for
random
10,
story.
15 minutes and हो जाता है उसका खाना हो जाता है उतने time में. And he is
Precisely.
busy listening to me. while he's feeding
He's
himself.
feeding
So,
self.
so I feel that at least 60% progress I have made. At least he's
Yes,
sitting and eating by himself.
eating.
Now, over time, now he's addicted to my voice because I tell him the story. Eventually, I'll wean him off of that as well. So,
Yes.
but yeah, instead
So
of him
yeah,
running around and, creating a
yes.
ruckus over the house, at least he's now eating and sitting by himself.
Yeah, but today, Jason, it was a little easier for you because you were very, very adamant that I don't want to give screens.
Yeah.
But for parents who stay in a joint family and or otherwise also when they stay in a nuclear family, most of your in-laws or your other part of the parents will be like, इतना जुल्म बच्चे पे क्यों कर रहे
Oh,
हो?
yeah.
दे दो,
So
दे दो बच्चे.
mother and father, so mother to mainly is always the villain.
She will
When
remain the
I remember when we did sleep training for our child, where we would put him in his cot and then he would cry, and then we would go every 5 minutes. So not a
yeah.
complete this thing, but every 5 minutes we would go to check. I got a mouthful from my dad, from my in-law saying, "तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो? बच्चा रो रहा है कॉट में, तुम लोग रूम में नहीं जा रहे हो." And because of that training, my son sleeps independently from 9 in the night to 8 in the morning. He doesn't get up.
Which
And
is
there
very
are,
good.
yeah, so, but all parents have to, firstly, you and your partner have to be on the same page. That is very important because when you both are on the
Yes,
same page, you can fight with the world because only
correct.
you are going to see the side effects of the child that you are raising, right?
Precisely.
Your parents and your in-laws are not going to be around when your child is 30, right? So
Exactly, exactly.
you have to be very mindful that I want to raise this human in a particular way, and only me and my partner will have a say in what we are doing, and take recommendations, take suggestions, but what you finally implement is in your hand.
Very rightly said. But I definitely understand that most of the mothers and the fathers find it very difficult to fight
Yeah,
it out.
yeah. It's
And
very difficult.
it's extremely difficult. And the other part is that if you have given them the screen time right from the beginning, then you know कि अचानक से मैं वो ले लूंगी तो वो खाना मतलब will be out of the question. He will not even have one morsel probably. So then you have to understand कि अब वो 10 minutes का screen time meal time में हो ही गया है. So what am I doing to compensate that 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Then
Absolutely.
then
So
that will
then
be an important.
let's talk about a step down, right? Like let's talk
Yeah,
about moderation. So for example, if you know that your child is now addicted to the screen for lunch and for dinner, or 1 hour in the evening before dinner, how do you then do a step down where you
correct.
over time reduce, may not eliminate, but
But
reduce
reduce.
the exposure?
Right,
So for example, is it possible that for 1 week you continue, okay, that today you will watch for 1 hour. Then the
right,
next week you will watch for 50 minutes.
right,
Then the week after you will watch for 40 minutes. So
right.
do you think in your practice that a step down moderation works when it comes to screen addiction?
It definitely does. And as you very rightly said, but if your child is of the age to understand what is happening, let's say about 4 years or 5 years above, then you have to keep them in the picture and explain it to them that why am I reducing your screen time now is because आप already exposed हो रहे हो when you're going to the school, when you're doing your homework. So why not spend some time with me and spending time over there? So probably what you can do is, for example, if it's a lunchtime, so if you remember, I'm just deviating a little over here. So if you remember when हम लोग जब school से वापस आते थे, the only thing on our minds was, I think most of my parents also had the same thing, is मम्मी किधर है? The first thing that comes to your mind is, where is my mom once I come back from the school? Because your excitement is at the highest at that time.
Yeah.
And you want to share whatever has happened in the school at that time with your mom or your father, whoever that you are close to at that time. Most of the times the mothers were available, and maybe that is the reason. Now somebody may say that I'm a working mother, which I agree to, but at least make an effort that if you're away, talk for that 10-15 minutes to your child once he's back home. Don't even question him whether you have changed, Don't even question him that you have to get ready for your tuition. Don't tell him that tu khana khane bed, because his excitement then goes for a toss. The moment I start talking, she keeps asking me anything nonsense, which is not important. And you have to know what is happening with your child for that for that 6 to 7 hours of school, because
Ask them
that's
about
how.
their day. Ask them
Yeah,
about, what did you color
yeah,
today? Where did you play? What games? Did you meet your
yeah,
friends? So basically,
correct.
don't
And
give any instruction.
just
Don't,
learn, just
yeah,
listen.
just listen
Just
to
be,
them.
that's it. And if he tells you I hit somebody, and why did you hit somebody, nothing like that, kuch nahi karna hai us time pe, sirf sunna hai. Because
Hmm.
you have
Hmm.
to allow that enthusiasm to be there. And somebody may think that मैं घर आके भी तो ये सब सुन सकती हूँ or everything, but you must remember that the excitement dies, and by the time he gets busy into other activities, he may not want to tell you exactly what is happening at that time. So it's very, very important and crucial that at least that after school ka 15-20 minutes is dedicated to your child. If you're available, coincide it with any of his meal times.
Hmm.
And so that way the screen anyways goes for a toss. And आपको वो देख मतलब आप देख सकते हैं, आप बात कर सकते हैं उनके साथ.
Hmm.
And other than that too, you just have to talk. So as I was deviating from the main topic, coming back to the main topic
Hmm.
is that be available to your children
Hmm.
when they need you. Because sometimes there are very small babies. कहीं घूम के आएंगे and they want to just hug you out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's their social security.
Hmm.
And they need this social security till at least 10-12 years of age also. When they
Hmm.
just want to come and hug you, or they just want to kiss you, or they just want to feel that I have my mother or my father around me.
Hmm.
And you have to allow them to do it. We
Yeah.
do not have to shy from this.
Yeah.
So that is very important. That was one point. The second point is, whenever your child wants to talk to you, in spite of you being in a meeting or a conversation or an important guest at home, listen to them.
Hmm.
Make them feel as important to you, because sometimes they really want to tell you something and sometimes they just want to divert your attention.
Yeah.
If either of the situation is there, try explaining to them, I have a guest coming home, I need to attend to them, will you help me being a little more attentive to them? And then he'll be like, okay, what I have to do, and then you have to
They
tell
love
him,
doing
that's it.
small tasks. Kids love,
Precise.
they love doing small tasks.
Involve
They
them.
love helping you.
Yeah,
They love doing things around the house, because
exactly.
they
And
want to feel like they are adults and that they
exactly.
can do it,
Yes, and make
right?
them feel useful. Like,
Yeah.
as I keep saying, if the child is 2.5 years to 3 years old, he can carry a plate properly.
Yeah.
Tell him, go and give roti to Papa. So he will make that effort कि okay, मैं देने जा रहा हूँ. इसमें क्या होता है, screen चले के ना चले, he is busy doing his work, which is
Hmm.
very important that the roti should not fall from the plate. It should reach the dad properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is his only challenge, and he knows I have to fulfill it. And
Hmm.
you, as a parent, must understand that you have to involve your child in your day-to-day activity.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that I want to teach my child to be a great human. He should be holding all these good virtues of life. So there is nothing like virtues class कि आज 1 घंटा लेके बैठ गया उसको सिखा दिया. Nothing like that. It's
Yeah.
your day-to-day activity wherein you can do all this, and eventually your screen time gradually starts reducing. There's one
Hmm.
more thing that you can do is, which generally the corporates
Just
do
one
for
second,
social.
Dr.
Yeah,
Shunal. I
yeah,
request anyone who has specific questions around screen time to please post it in the comment section. Yeah.
yeah. So as I was saying, the corporates have this 21-day habit tracker sort of a thing. Make those charts at home. Like,
Hmm.
you and your child should sit down and make those charts.
Hmm.
You have to tell your child that you have been watching screen for 1 hour. Can we make it to a 50 minutes for this week? And that 10 minutes you will spend time with me. I will also watch with you for 50 minutes.
Hmm.
But after that 50 minutes, the last 10 minutes, your time will be with me. And
Hmm.
then you decide what you want to do. So as just now when you said that you make a story for your child, okay, and when
Hmm.
you say it aloud to him when he's having
Hmm.
one of his meal times, you have to understand, Jason, that you are putting your creativity at use, which is fantastic.
Hmm.
Otherwise you would have never used that side of yours,
Yeah.
but you're
Yeah.
doing it.
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and this way you're teaching your child that creativity also has a say in life. Everything need not be practical. Sometimes magic is also necessary in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you are coming up with things which are useful to him, and you're trying to teach him. Obviously,
Yeah.
आप उसको ये तो नहीं सिखा रहे हो कि go and hit somebody or you take a pistol and kill somebody.
Yeah.
That is not possible, right? But it's important that, this is how things are taught to children. And make a habit tracker and reward them with small things, bigger things, whatever it takes at that point of time. So make them into the habit of doing it, and eventually bring them down on the screen time, but keep them in the loop. That's very important, because they have to know why they are doing it, or else they will revert back.
So filling up their free time, you may not put them in a necessary class, or football mein chale jao, niche khelo, cricket khelo. At some point they're going to come back home. But in the time that they are around you, how can you occupy them in a way where they necessarily don't need the screen as a mode of entertainment? So whether it's helping you, whether it's arranging their toys, whether it is, getting their baths ready, whatever, like the small things that you want them to do for you, which will make them feel more empowered and also reduce your dependency on the screen to keep them occupied.
Correct,
right?
Correct.
Okay.
So very rightly, as you said, but sometimes I have parents coming up and telling me कि अगर मैं अकेले काम कर लूँ ना तो 15 मिनट में हो जाता है. But अगर if I have to involve him, na, it takes me half an hour. Which I agree to. I'm not against it. And there are situations where you have to wrap up things faster and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to the best of your capacity, you have to involve your children into this. Plus, make them some, so a lot of activity books are available for different ages all over, like all over the Instagram. I think they're filled with that. Or even in the markets. Just bring one of those and you can have them. There is one more thing which I have started very recently with all my kids and which is helping them in a better way. After the meal time at night, after dinner time, all the family members of the house, whether they are interested or not interested, they have to sit in the hall, let's say at 10 o'clock. Once they are in the hall, the eldest member to the youngest member, so every day one person will start a story. And it goes like, the crow was sitting on the wall. Let's say I say that statement, the crow was sitting on the wall. So it passes on to the next person and the story keeps building on itself. Yes. And that's how you will start getting a lot of interaction within the family. Now this can be done at the dinner table also. Or you can have another half an hour of that 24 hours only dedicated to this, where all the family members are there, including your health. So you can probably have the story in a Hindi or a Marathi or whatever. So you can do that.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So that is one part. Like for you, what you can do is you can start the story, and while he's eating, you can ask him, can you think what can be the next part of the story?
He does that. Like because I start all my stories with once upon a time. Now he also starts all his stories with once upon a time. Obviously his stories are just one sentence stories.
But that's okay.
Like
but they're there.
An elephant was walking on a jungle. That's the story. But I'm happy that he pushes himself in that moment to think creatively that what can happen next.
Exactly. Right. And that way all of us can also do it. So it's more important. The other thing that what every one of us can do right from the beginning is every day at the dinner table, there can be a podcast of some story, the children's story happening around.
That's and by the time a great idea.
And by the time your child is about 5 years or 6 years of age, there has to be a question answer session wherein you will ask them a question that which person was this who was walking there, or which house number did they mention, or which garden were they talking about. So that way the child is making sure that he's very, very attentive to that story. And he knows that he has to hear it properly to answer properly to you. And if somebody wins in that, then that weekend ka plan is made by that person who answers well. So that way you are rewarding your child into something. He's gonna be very attentive to you. And the other thing is he gets a thought process कि मुझे ये weekend क्या करना है. Obviously, he wants to go to the garden, he wants to go to the zoo beach, he wants to go to the cinema hall. And you also know, he also knows that all of this can't be done in a Sunday.
Yeah.
So then he will decide कि नहीं यार, this Sunday I'll go to zoo beach. And probably then next time when I win, I may ask them that I want to go here. So he knows that decision making. He knows that what are his priorities for that week. So that is how you have to adjust that. Yeah, that's right.
So we have one question from Farhan. My daughter is 2. She also eats while watching mobile. If we don't feed her, then she has more of her mother's milk, which is trouble for the mother. Because she doesn't drink outside milk. So basically they give the screen so that the child doesn't breastfeed from the mother. So that also now is an association, right? Because you've given the screen to break the mother's milk habit. So how mother's milk का habit कैसे stop करें?
नहीं तो पहली बात ये है कि you have to gradually get the baby off the mother's milk. For example, कि it only has to be at the night time. The day wala situation is gone. So you have to literally tell the child that my body doesn't have milk during the day. It has only at night. Initially to start with. So the first part is कि पूरा through the day, the weaning has to be so much that it has to be stopped right away, because it's going to be very, very difficult to go over and above that. So it's very important that through the day, you completely stop the mother's milk, and only at night, once you're at night and then you stop it, and then only you can go back to cutting on the screens and everything. So that's a long process because you've already started it. So it's not going to be so easy to go ahead.
Okay. Any other questions, parents, regarding screen time and children? I think we're almost towards the end of our session. Just give me a second.
Sure.
I think we've covered any of the questions that were there. Hussein has written, reality is when I exercise this quit mobile program. When I quit mobile, she also quit. And then when I start to be responsible, my daughter also again started. From square one, I think, where I left. So I didn't get a proper solution. I think what he's trying to say, even I'm not understanding the question properly. I don't know if Mr. Hussein is on the call anymore. I'll just check. Yeah. Hussein, if you can just tell us your question. I've asked you to unmute your mic.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Noori, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, Noori. Yeah, can you just tell us your question again?
Yeah, I will tell you this program I started for Quit Mobile. You told me the screen time is harmful and all the electromagnetic waves are coming. So it's been a month I started with this. So I also quit my mobile. All the calls, all the dependents, I used to tell them to call to my mother-in-law or to my husband, to my family also. Even I didn't use mobile for a month. And that really works actually, because when mobile was not in my hand, my daughter also didn't take mobile for a while, and she also get like distracted. And I was like, whenever she was cranky, I used to take her to the garden, or I used to take her down to street. And I was having I had to buy vegetables. I used to take her everywhere, wherever I go. See, because what happens, I'm in a joint family, so I used to keep her with my mother-in-law with mobile, and I used to do my household chores, like whatever I used to do. But when I quit this mobile, so she was always with me. Okay. She, as she told that they want our more time, right? But the day came when I need to start it, when school started back after COVID, and everything was on mobile only. I need to access it. Okay. I quit it for around 2 months. Okay. And she also quit it. She never see a mobile a day when I quit it. And when I started again, and it was like again she started, because when she sees a mobile in my hand, she used to take it away from me. So it didn't work only. It worked for 2 months only. But again, now it has started. And
So
it's the same way it was before.
I understand. I understand. So That's what, right? Like kids want to do what parents do. If we
Yeah,
are
that
on
is.
our mobile, they want to be on their
See,
mobile. But
now also we are on screen only. See, so they will
absolutely,
see
yeah.
that mama.
Yeah,
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 so they will
absolutely.
replica us. Just
Yeah.
so I'm
How
not
old is your
getting a
child?
proper solution for to quit this mobile, because I also used to engage them on laptop for like for TV also. The screen time is to make them watch the cartoon or some
Okay.
snacks when I'm feeding them. But eventually I'm having the mobile in my hand only. So they used to
Yeah.
take it from me,
Yeah. Yeah.
because emails and all we cannot like we cannot, for
Yeah. Yeah.
how long we will not take a mobile, just tell me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right, Nuri. I think you're completely right. And as I was saying, this is not the right way. We need to explain it to them because social media and screens are going nowhere till ages, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's important to let them know the good and the bad of it rather than completely stopping and owning them. Uh, so it's going to be very, very important that you explain it to them that why you have to be on the screen for that time period and why they can't be on the screen at that time period because they need not be. Their work is not related to that screen at that point of time. But when they start going to school and probably any other medium of education, the screen will be a part of their life. So just completely being away from it and being into it is not going to make a major difference in anybody's life as such. Rather than teach them, learn them, it's like learn to live with it rather than running away from it.
See, completely eliminating screen is not an option even for us. We also have to
Yeah.
use our phones to talk to people, to be on WhatsApp, and our kids are going to see that. One of the things, I've always told my son ever since he was a baby and he tried to snatch our phones from our hand is that this is not for children. This is not for babies. I kept repeating that the phone is not for babies. The laptop is not for babies. And he started saying that after I started saying that. So obviously now that he's grown up and he sees other kids on their phone, or even when they go down to play in the garden, some of the parents are showing screens to their children. But he somehow in his mind has this correlation that screens are not for babies. So see, Nuri, if that works, you cannot eliminate yourself from technology. No, but none of us can. But there is some try to do some moderation. So like we were discussing earlier, if it is 1 hour right now, make it 50 minutes next week, make it 40 minutes the week after that, and see if that is going to, help. And make her do other things around the house. Make her go for a walk with her grandmother, make her help in the kitchen, let her play with atta in the kitchen, like make her do small tasks, and see where that goes. Farhan, I'm just going to unmute you. I think Farhan is not there anymore, is it? Yeah, Farhan, can you unmute
Hello.
yourself? Yeah, hi
Hello.
Farhan.
Yeah. Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
तो एक्चुअली मेरी डॉटर को भी वही इशू है कि वो नॉर्मल जब फीडिंग करते टाइम उसको मोबाइल चाहिए तो ही वो खाती है, नहीं तो नहीं खाती है। और मैम ने बोला कि कोई बच्चा मतलब भूखा नहीं सोएगा अगर हम नहीं खिलाएंगे, बट प्रॉब्लम ये है कि फिर वो पूरी कसर जो है वो मदर्स मिल्क से पूरी
Yeah.
करती है अगर फूड, तो फिर ऐसे में क्या करना चाहिए?
फरहान, सो एक तो वो सिर्फ नाइट टाइम फीड कर रही है या दिन में भी मदर से फीड कर रही है?
नहीं, अभी फिलहाल तो दिन में भी कर रही है, अगर हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं दिन का बंद करने के लिए, बट लेकिन वो फिर बहुत ज्यादा रोती है और वो सब।
टैंट्रम थ्रो कर रही है?
बहुत
सो
ज्यादा, हाँ।
बेसिकली फरहान, ये एक्चुअली स्क्रीन टाइम से सॉल्व नहीं होगा। इसमें वीनिंग की जरूरत है। ये बेबी अभी तक वीन नहीं हुआ है। सो आई थिंक आप एक आपका जो पीडियाट्रिशियन है उनसे थोड़े वीनिंग मेथड्स, अगर आप सीख, इफ यू कैन लर्न सम वीनिंग मेथड्स, तो एटलीस्ट वो जैसे डॉक्टर शुनाल हैड मेंशन्ड दैट नाइट टाइम का एक फीड योर वाइफ कैन कंटिन्यू टू गिव, but during the day your child should be weaned off by now, since your child is more than 2, right?
यस, यस।
Yeah, then
शी
she
जस्ट
should.
कंप्लीटेड 2 in October.
Okay, so just exactly 2. So I think you
Yes.
can wean off the, or even if you want, keep the early morning feed. which is a 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. whenever they get up, and keep the nighttime feed of 11 p.m. But in the middle, all throughout the day, ask your wife to not give her milk anymore. Because
Okay.
as the kid becomes older, it's going to be more and more difficult to wean them off.
Hmm.
Eventually, I think your daughter will start going to playgroup also, right? So
Yes, we are
automatically
planning
she will
to
wean off when
admit.
she goes to playgroup. She will wean off
Okay.
because mother's not going to be around when she's hungry. So she
Mm-hmm.
will wean off. But हाँ वो थोड़ा 1 महीना लगेगा wean off करने के लिए.
ओके,
तो आप
तो
स्क्रीन
फिर
मत दो
दिन
उसको
भर, नहीं नहीं, फिर दिन भर
wean off
नॉर्मल फूड
करने.
के लिए, मतलब नॉर्मल फूड खिलाने के लिए फिर दिन में, अगर उसको, अगर वो बोलती है तो फिर
नहीं मत
नॉट
दो.
फॉर मदर्स, नहीं ना?
No. Don't give mother's milk also, and please don't give screen. Like I said, आप story books try करो, उसके favorite toys के साथ बैठो.
ओके,
अगर घर में कोई और है, आपकी मॉम है, कोई भी है, तो they all can take turns. But don't let her watch screen. She's very young. Don't let her watch screen to replace your wife's milk.
Exactly.
ओके, 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 थैंक यू.
Yeah, thank you. Just 1 second. So Deepali is saying my son has reduced the screen time, but seeing other child he wants and says, "Mama, uske paas hai, mere paas bhi ko bhi chahiye." If I don't give him screen during food, he will not eat food but go on to junk food.
Yeah, but then who taught him this? That is the first question, right? When you don't give
Deepali,
him
I'm going to
food.
unmute you.
My child is 5 years old. Okay.
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 He's big enough. He goes to school. He goes to other classes. But what happens when we are going to party or somewhere for dinners and all. We are going out to seeing the other child. At time parents give them screen.
Yes.
कि थोड़ी देर हम enjoy कर ले, तुम ले लो.
हाँ.
तो seeing the other child, वो अपना toys का bag carry करता है सब जगह, लेकिन seeing the other child he says कि अब मुझे भी चाहिए. वो पूरा अपना टॉयज का बैग वगैरह लेकर जाता है, बट फिर भी देख के तो चाहिए फिर.
Yeah.
You can't help it, right?
Yeah.
No, you're right.
But does he watch screen at home at all?
No,
Okay.
he watched TV at cartoon 1 hour at least. Otherwise, he's busy. He goes to skating class, basketball class, and other activities and homework. He sleeps at 10, wake
Okay.
up at 7, 8.
Okay, so see, he's an active kid overall, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not dull, he's not doing time pass, he's not watching 3-4 hours of screen. So I think
he doesn't have time also for these things.
yeah. So firstly, taking his favorite toys, or what you can do is when you go out next time to a toy shop or an activity, some shop, you tell him that I'm going to let you pick up 2 toys, especially for when we go out for dinner.
No. I'm not saying that. Whenever we go to a toy shop, I always say, I'll only let you buy only one toy, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Only one.
But especially for dinners, when we go out, so that
But
he makes
when we
that
go for dinner,
association.
he takes his bag.
Whole bag.
From home only, he collects his toys,
Yeah.
small cars or whatever thing he wants. He takes his bag, he put his things along with it and takes his bags everywhere. बट फिर सबके सामने बैग भी नहीं खोलना है, फिर वही लड़ाई झगड़ा. ही इज नॉट इन्वॉल्व इनटू फाइटिंग और एनीथिंग कि मेरी चीजें तो मैं नहीं दूंगा. फिर आके मुझसे बोलेगा कि नहीं, यू आस्क हिम, वो मेरी चीजें ले रहा है, तो खोलता नहीं है डर की वजह से कि कहीं कोई देखेगा तो छीन लेगा. देन ही वांट्स स्क्रीन.
Understood.
So it's important that you talk it out to him कि अगर उस टाइम पे कोई आपकी चीज ले रहा है तो we'll replace it, but at least teach him a little to share and probably
he shares everything. जिससे मन होगा उससे शेयर करेगा. There is one child in our group. He is very like naughty, छीना झपटी, मारना. तो my child is not that type कि वो मारे किसी को या उससे छीन ले. He can share only उससे जिससे वो चाहे.
Correct. But I think thoda sa you can have a leeway into this. See, because we cannot allow him to be a child ke jo he's feeling out of place. So that should not also be the case. But at the same time, you must teach him कि peer pressure is also not necessary कि सबके पास है तो मेरे पास होना चाहिए, sort of a situation. So you have to find a leeway to this by talking it out to him and telling him कि आपको जिसके साथ अच्छा लग रहा है, at least start playing with that person, show him your toys, tell him what are the new creatives that you have thought of with that toys of yours, and see if they are participating or not. Eventually, if those kids also come around playing, which is good, fantastic. If not, eventually I think the last 10 minutes or so, one of you can share the phone, as in एक बच्चे के पास होगा तो उसके साथ share कर लो.
आप उसको 2 minutes का वीडियो आपके साथ दिखा दो. So for example, अगर आप डिनर पे उसके साथ हो, वो आपके बाजू में बैठा है, right? You pick a video that is just for 2 minutes, some animal video, monkeys jumping in the water or something, और आप उसको बताओ कि मैं आपको दिखाऊंगी लेकिन सिर्फ 2 minutes के लिए, फिर हमें खाना खाने पे फोकस करना है ना, तो आप इतना फोन पे नहीं रह सकते हो. And another thing is that kids also, like Dr. Shrunal said, is just differentiate. Tell him that yes, this other kid has a screen and you don't, but does he have the toys that you have? He doesn't.
Correct.
So if he sees that, oh, I have toys, but this one only has a screen, you have to make it sound like, oh my God, you have such amazing toys. This kid doesn't have toys. So, you know, like make him feel strong that I actually have abundance. You know, I don't need. And push comes to shove, एक छोटा सा कोई animal का video दिखा दो and say कि मैं आपको ये 2 minutes का video दिखाऊंगी, इसके बाद मैं नहीं दिखा. And see if that works. ये एक हमें थोड़ा फ्लेक्स तो दिखाना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि wherever we go, screens are there. हाँ, we have to show some flex. Yeah, absolutely.
क्योंकि I have a joint family, many times क्या होता है कि I am not giving him screen, लेकिन ऊपर जाते दादी दादू के पास जाते, वहां जाके फोन ले लेते. They don't say him anything कि तुम फोन ले रहे हो. मैं इतनी बार I have said them, please मत दिया करो, इससे अच्छा आप उनको कहानी सुनाया करो, आप लोग को इतनी stories, but they are not that interested in raising a better. तो
we all tend to take the easy way. Yeah, we all tend to take the easy way out. It's a lot of learning for our parents also. I know that my in-laws definitely show some mobile. I know my dad also does some mobile with my son. And okay, you cannot fight all battles. But even if you, I think 80 to 90% भी आप अगर control में हो, so I think that that's great. And you should really be proud of yourself that you are controlling his free time the way you want 80 to 90% of the time. That's a great start.
Exactly.
So don't feel कि I'm not perfect, मैं zero screen time नहीं कर रही हूँ, नहीं. It's not about that. It is about trying to do the best that we can in the circumstances that we are in.
Correct.
That is important.
And more than that, as you very rightly said, he's such an active child. So you need not worry for that extra 10, 15 minutes here and there. So it's just okay.
Actually,
Sorry, आपका म्यूट चला गया है दीपाली.
Okay. Like I always want कि एक बार में एक activity I'm always focused on.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. We have one from Ravi. My daughter is very less on screen, but sometimes I see her squint her eyes for very second. I think repeatedly squint her eye. Okay. I visited the hospital, but they said everything was okay.
What is her age?
I'm just asking Ravi to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ravi?
Her eyes, 3 years. Age 3 years.
So you're saying that she's not on the screen?
She's not on the screen, but for a few minutes she's on the screen while I'm eating only, but not for frequently. So she's an active kid. She prefers to play.
Okay.
See, while playing, I see her squint eye for a few 2 to 3 seconds. It's a frequent. I had taken to her eye hospital, but they had checked in this, but they said everything is okay. But even though I see her squint eye.
So do one thing, Ravi. So in 24 hours, how many time is her screen time?
less than 20 minutes.
Okay, that is fine, absolutely. So next time when you see her squinting, or if you can manage to just grab a video of that, that will help you in the long run. And you must see a pediatric ophthalmologist. That will help you a little in detail and a little better. And keep a watch on it. Sometimes at 3 years they do have it, but it passes off eventually. But at least by 3.5 years, if it doesn't pass off, then you definitely need to do something about it.
Squint comes not regularly. It comes suddenly for 2-3 minutes, and when I ask her to blink her eye, it will go off.
It's on everyday basis.
No, not on everyday basis.
Then I don't think you have to worry. It will pass off. Don't worry. But whenever next, if you see that it's increasing in the frequency, then of course it's a matter of concern. But eventually it passes off. Don't worry so much.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I think we don't have any more questions for today. I'm just going to just quickly check. I think we're pretty much done. Okay, thank you everyone who joined today's call. And just 1 second. Okay, huh. Thank you everyone who joined today's call. I hope it was informative. And thank you, Dr. Shrunal. It was amazing to have you and very, very insightful as a session.
Thank you.
And I look forward to doing a lot more sessions together.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah.
We shall connect. Yes, of course. Anytime. And it was great. For me also. It was my pleasure if I can help them in any simplest of the simplest ways.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.
Wishing you all the same. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.